UFC's in Philadelphia this weekend for UFC 330. I'm going to go through the entire card, give you guys the notes and style of every single fighter, as well as my best bets and predictions for every fight on the card. If you guys want the full betting recap, going fast forward to this part of the video, let's get into it. With the first fight on the card, Jeremiah Wells versus Midpek Orbai. Going to try and do this all in one take. If it goes awry, I apologize, but we're going to try and do it right now. Jeremiah Wells, he fought over in CFFC for a while, joined the UFC in 2021, started off his UFC career hot with 4 straight wins, then he lost 2 in a row, bounced back in his most recent fight against Themba Gorimbo. He is almost 40 years old, sneakily almost 40 years old. People forget, man, Jeremiah Wells is getting up there. I know not a lot of people are keeping count on Jeremiah Wells' age, but it's worth noting. He's almost 40 years old. His style. Undersized fighter with a lot of explosivity in his game on the feet and on the ground. He has great scrambling ability on the feet. He thrives in blitzes, and he does have some decent power in his hands as well. Struggles against length on the feet, though, and typically will look to fire takedowns and go to work on the ground. His opponent, Midpek Orbai, he had a bunch of fights on the Caucasus regional scene, then went to LFA for, I think, like 2 or 3 fights, and then he signs with the UFC in 2023. He debuts with a win over Uros Medic, which has aged pretty well, and then he loses a split decision to Mateusz Rebecki. But since then, he's looked like one of the more promising prospects at 170. He did Chris Curtis really dirty in his last fight. I mean, he ragdolled him, and if you know Chris Curtis, not a lot of people do that to Chris Curtis. Despite only being 28 years old, he is actually the first human being ever. My God, look at that Neanderthal-looking ass motherfucker. I cannot get over it. Anyways, his style. Relentless grappler with high-level skill on the ground. Not really known for having KO power. He did KO Jack Hermanson, a weight-drained, chinny Jack Hermanson. Kind of gave him a bit more stock in the stand-up than I think he maybe deserves. But regardless, on the feet, he does what he needs to. But it's the grappling skill that's really going to shine with this guy. He is very, very good. I mean, the mat returns in the Chris Curtis fight, like, this guy's relentless. We will probably see it on display here. My prediction for this fight, I will go ahead and take Midpek Orbai to get it done via decision. Orbai sub-decision takes his value all the way down to minus 150, which is crazy, considering he's like a minus 1,100 favorite, I think, right now. So to get him at sub-decision, I guess there could be a possible like TKO scenario that could ruin that, but I don't think so. Midpek Orbai has 1 KO, and it's that Jack Hermanson KO. So I'm going to rock with sub-decision and the fight to go over 1.5 rounds at minus 135. Yes, Jeremiah Wells does have a chance in this one. He's got tons of grappling skill, and he can scramble well, but so did Chris Curtis. Like, I think Oralbai's grappling is truly just on another level, and he's going to put on a masterclass in this one and get it done via decision. The next fight on the card, we got Neil Magny versus Ramiz Brahimaj. Neil Magny, he is the greatest litmus test in UFC history. No, I'm not going to call him a gatekeeper. I don't like that. I don't like calling people gatekeepers. It's kind of disrespectful. He's a litmus test. He's a litmus test for the welterweight division, and he has been for years. He's an experienced vet with over 40 pro fights, and he's fought just about every prospect the welterweight has ever had. Ian Garry, Morales, like absolutely everyone this guy has fought. His style, he is the crafty vet grappler with solid skill everywhere the fight goes. Could be slowing down as he nears 40. He's also got a ton of tread on the tires as well, so I think that's worth mentioning. Yes, I think he is still the crafty vet, but maybe some of these wins might start not to mean as much as he gets older. His opponent, Brahimaj, he was scheduled to fight on the Contender Series after an 8-0 run on the regionals. Then he gets injured, ends up debuting in 2020 anyways. He went 5-4. He's 5-4 in the UFC so far. He's coming off of a loss, but he has won 3 of his last 4 outside of that one loss. And in 13 wins, he has 12 submissions. So you can kind of gauge where we're at style-wise. He is going to be a really nasty submission grappler with an excellent guillotine. Really any front choke. Brahimaj does a great job at securing those and locking those in. He can struggle, though, when put in disadvantageous positions on the ground. In 4 of his losses, I think if people just beat him to positioning or kind of out-muscle him on the ground, he has a really hard time recovering from that. He does not take many chances on the feet either. Just kind of waits for his opportunities. Doesn't overextend, doesn't overload, doesn't pressure and walk forward into dangerous scenarios. Just kind of backs up, waits for his chances, and then will pounce on the grappling when it arrives. My prediction for this fight, I will take Neil Magny to get it done via decision. This is a unique one. I don't really know why Neil Magny is the favorite. I get it, or the underdog, I apologize. I get it. He is older, and that could be playing a factor into things, but like, we can't be forgetting who Neil Magny is, bro. Like, this guy's been doing it. And Brahimaj is a really good submission artist, but I think there's a certain level of fighter that you need to be in order to beat Neil Magny. I just don't think Brahimaj is there yet. Regardless of what you think is going to happen, I think the dual outcome and kind of betting this, maybe like pseudo hedging this fight in a way and getting Brahimaj via submission at plus 155 is already a crazy enough bet. Like, even if you do think Neil Magny's going to win, Brahimaj sub at plus 155 is crazy. And then Neil Magny decision at plus 350 is also great value as well. So both of those bets, if you place them amount wise correct, you can end up getting money really either way with either of those outcomes. And I think that's kind of the only two ways that this fight's going to play out, because I don't think Neil Magny will get a submission in this one. So I've got Neil Magny get it done via decision, but both of those outcomes to me make a lot of sense. As we move on, the next fight on the card, Rafael Tobias and Lucas Fernando, I apologize. Rafael Tobias, he's a Shute box fighter, went 13-1 on the regional scene before getting a submission on the contender series. Then he loses his debut against Dayar Nurgajai at UFC 326. He's got 5 KOs, 6 submissions, and 3 decisions. So a diverse and fairly experienced fighter that, for only being his second fight in the promotion, does have some really great experience. His style, he's a really solid BJJ grappler, has really good entries and submission ability. The striking has improved throughout his career, but still slightly foreign when he's forced to stand up. Nurgajai's grappling skill is not high level at all, and he stuffed takedowns and forced a fight on the feet that Tobias just didn't really want any part of and looked really outmatched. So there's that. If you're a Dayar Nurgajai purist, I guess that can put that into perspective for you. His opponent, Lucas Fernando, he went 9-1, became a champion LFA, goes on the contender series and loses Cesar Almeida, who is a world-class kickboxer. No shame in that. Then he goes back to LFA, loses to, I believe, Azamat Bakoyev, who was one of the better prospects in the light heavyweight division. Then he ends up piecing together a pretty nice win streak of 4 fights. Then he gets 2 straight round 1 KOs in LFA, and now he's getting to make his UFC debut on Saturday. His style, he's a really flashy striker with good power and ability to mix up his targets. He does great work to the body. He's really accurate, lengthy as well. Like I said, really lengthy guy. He will have a major reach advantage in this one. I think it's like 7-inch reach advantage or something like this. He's only got like an inch in height, but the reach advantage, this guy's got dangly arms, and that'll be a big advantage for him in this one. My prediction for this fight, I'm going to take Lucas Fernando to get it done via knockout in round 1. This could be a bullish prediction, but I think on the feet, Fernando has actually a really, really good skill set. Tobias had his takedown stuff by Dayar Nurgajai, which I've already explained is pretty shameful. So I think Lucas Fernando is going to be able to handle those takedown entries, keep the fight off of the mat, keep it standing, and kind of piece up Tobias where he can find a round 1 finish. He is riding a lot of momentum, like I said as well, riding 2 round 1 knockouts. One of them was a body shot knockout too. Like, this guy's regional scene stuff looked really good. I like the fight not to go the distance regardless at minus 245. And then a Tobias sub. Yeah, maybe he lands a takedown and Fernando is just kind of outmatched on the ground. He finds a sub at plus 650. I don't hate that as high value, but I will be taking Fernando to get it done via round 1 KO. We move on again to the 4th fight on the card, Vicente Luque versus Tresean Gore. Again, I mean, I'm so glad that this is on a numbered event in the year 2026. Tresean Gore, who is 6-4, against Vicente Luque, who's 87 years old. This is going to be a great one, you guys. Vicente Luque, experienced UFC vet that's been in the promotion for 11 years and has always been a tough out, regardless of what weight class he's at welterweight, middleweight, no matter what. He is 3-5 in his last 2, with age starting to creep up on him as well. He's coming off of a round 1 submission win against Kelvin Gastelum at UFC 327 after he moved up to middleweight. His style, on the feet, he's looked very slow and telegraphed. Honestly, he's completely outmatched on the feet. However, on the ground, he really thrives as a great submission artist, but he just doesn't force the ground game nearly enough as he should. I feel like the most recent fight just kind of proved what Vicente Luque can be doing. Like, if you were just to force takedowns and find entries and allow himself to work on the ground, he'd be a much better fighter. For some reason he doesn't do that, but he was able to do it in his last fight and find the round 1 submission win. His opponent, Tresean Gore, he went 3-0 before going on The Ultimate Fighter and then loses in the finale to Brian Battle. Since then, he's 3-3 in the UFC, bringing his record to a whopping 6-4. If you guys can do the math there. He is coming off of a win and had quite the post-fight interview. If you guys want to look it up, go ahead. He went ahead. Essentially claimed everybody had a mental disability that was watching him and gave an excuse for every single loss that he's ever had in the UFC. And now he's back, was what he proclaimed. We'll see how true that is. His style. He's a low-level guy with average power. He has a good guillotine that he's used to obtain literally all 3 of his wins in the UFC so far. All of them come by guillotine. So I think if Vicente Luque just keeps his goddamn neck up, he should be fine in this one. My prediction, I will take Vicente Luque, who for some reason is the underdog in this one. Like, I get it. He's old. Tresean Gore is terrible. Like, I'm being so serious. I truly believe Tresean Gore is terrible. Yes, his win against Makhachev looks good because Makhachev was a decent prospect at the time at middleweight, but, like, not really. So I don't get this at all. I think this should be a pretty easy win for Vicente Luque. He should get it done via decision. He could get it done via submission. I think the fight to end in a submission at plus 175 is good value because of the submission ability of Luque. And if Tresean Gore is able to find that guillotine somehow, you're still going to cash at plus 175. But Luque moneyline at plus 100, like, that's great value. Hopefully Tresean Gore doesn't make me look like a dumbass, but I think this is an easy pick for Vicente Luque. Not touching Tresean Gore in this one. We move on to the next fight of Dante Johnson and Eric McConaughey. Dante Johnson, he begins his MMA career after a brief kind of football career. I think he played in college, goes on the Contender Series and wins via round 1 KO, smurfing at heavyweight. He's made his debut, I think it was like 206 pounds. So he's technically a heavyweight, stepped in on short notice. He's 5'8" and knocked out like a 6'3" heavyweight. It was awesome. If you got to see that, if you haven't seen that, look it up. It was hilarious. He looked tiny out there and literally knocked him out within a minute, I believe. He wins his UFC debut against Sadiq Dumas. And then he had an unfortunate war with Cody Brundage at UFC 326 in a fight where everyone was kind of hoping that he'd just run through him. And Cody Brundage gave him a lot more problems than he had anticipated. And it didn't really look that great. His style, he's a powerful and compact brute striker with absolutely savage KO ability. He can grapple and scramble, though, as well. I mean, his build suits him well for that. Like I said, he's built lower to the ground, so he's able to get underhooks easier. He's able to sprawl his hips out a lot faster. However, the gas tank did look a lot. It did look like something to be concerned about in his last fight against Cody Brundage. He's carrying a lot of that muscle. And as you reach the 13th, 14th, 15th minute of that fight, it definitely starts to wear on you. His opponent, Eric McConaughey, he's a very technical, well-rounded fighter with a lot of danger and the ability to get into a flow, kind of outland you throughout the course of 15 minutes. Sorry, I flip-flopped the style and notes, so just bear with me. He also, the notes on him, he trains and also helps coach out of the MMA lab. He had a 9-2 run on the regional scene. And then in the UFC so far, he's 2-2. He's been KO'd in both of his losses. I believe they were that Susurkayev, and then I can't remember who else finished him. But in the UFC, like I said, he's 2-2 and he's been finished twice. My prediction for this one, I will take Dante Johnson to get it done via round 1 KO. Eric McConaughey is kind of like a sneaky, I don't want to say like crafty vet because he's not. He's only had 4 fights in the UFC. But he is a guy with good fight IQ. And I think that matters, especially in a fight where Dante Johnson's just not only younger than him and newer to MMA, he just doesn't have many fights. And so for Eric McConaughey, like, if he can fight a super highly intelligent fight and stay out of danger, sure, Dante Johnson's arms are really long. I just see him finding the chin of Eric McConaughey. He does not have great durability. Baisangor Sursurkayev was able to flatline him, like, in a weird kind of way. I think McConaughey decision at plus 525. Crafty McConaughey decision. I don't want to count it out. I feel like I had to mention it because, like I said, McConaughey isn't like somebody that's going to get caught up in the moment, get into a fire exchange. Like, this guy's going to fight a disciplined fight. And unless Dante Johnson can kind of create that chaos and create that moment or find that shot that he wants, I don't think it's going to go his way. because Eric McConaughey can, like I said, get into a flow and outland you over the course of 15 minutes. I will take Deontay Johnson to get it done. But even in this fight, a Johnson KO at plus 110 or a McConaughey decision at plus 525, both are paying out at plus money. So I think both of those are great bets there, but I will take Deontay Johnson to get it done via round 1 KO. As we move on, Charles Johnson and Eduardo Chapolin. Charles Johnson, he's a former LFA champ, signed to the UFC in 2022, known for sliming out your favorite prospect at flyweight and then immediately catapulting them into the title picture, slimed out Joshua Van. The only person to beat Joshua Van in the UFC is Charles Johnson. He knocked him out. Knocked out Lone Kavanaugh as well. I was kind of hoping that Jose Ochoa would maybe fight this fight and get knocked out, but he had to pull out. Unfortunately, Jose Ochoa, if you know, you know. The guy's a demon at 125. That's who was supposed to be fighting Charles Johnson. Instead, Chapolin is stepping in on short notice. But back to Charles Johnson. He's 8-7 in the UFC. He struggled a lot with consistency issues, but not activity. This guy's always wanting to get back in the octagon and fight. He just fought not that long ago on the UFC Baku card, and he's already back. His style, really slick striker with good length and KO power, especially for a flyweight. He's able to generate so much power with that length accuracy combo. And I think that really bodes well for him. He can sprawl decently well, but overall has struggled against high-level grapplers. We saw it in his most recent fight against Asu Amabayev. He got Suluev stretched. Asu Amabayev kind of just made Charles Johnson look a lot lower level than what I think he really is. But he kind of schooled Charles Johnson, especially on the ground. His opponent, Eduardo Chapolin, he's a 13-2 fighter from the regionals. Became an LFA champ. Then he goes on tough, loses immediately to Joseph Morales, who ends up winning the whole show. Then he goes back to the regional scene in LFA, gets a round 1 finish, and reclaims his belt over there, I think, in LFA. Then gets a shot on the contender series, goes on the contender series, wins, doesn't get a contract. Now he's making his UFC debut on a few days' notice, stepping in, like I said, again, for Jose Ochoa. Chapolin style, he's a technical fighter, technical striker with decent power for a flyweight, but struggles to maintain high output. He also struggles a lot as a grappler, especially defensively. I don't want to say he's got no takedown defense, but I mean, the guy he fought on the contender series took him down easily. Joseph Morales took him down and submitted him round 1. I think he could be getting a bad rap because I don't think his strength of schedule is actually that bad, surprisingly. In the fights against other guys, on the regional scene, he has looked really good. But my prediction for this one, I will go ahead and take Charles Johnson to get it done via round 2 TKO. He's only a minus 120 favorite, which is kind of scaring me. I remember Chapolin on the Ultimate Fighter and not really thinking he was all that. And then I watched him again on the Contender Series, and I still didn't really think he was all that, especially after he won. That's why he didn't even get a contract. I was kind of surprised he didn't get a contract because I thought maybe they were bringing on to do him a favor. Didn't get a contract. Charles Johnson, yeah, I get it. He's really unreliable, but minus 120? How are they expecting us not to bet on this? That's crazy to me. I don't get that at all. Without the grappling threat being posed on Charles Johnson and just being a pure striking match, I think he's going to thrive. He could even implement grappling of his own if he wants. That's how god-awful in the grappling I think Chapolin is. The inconsistency is in high activity going back-to-back fights like this. Yeah, I know that's concerning. But I did not put this in the parlay legs because I wouldn't do you guys like that. I would never put Charles Johnson in a parlay leg for you guys and guide you in the wrong direction like that. However, if you are watching this individual part, this is a great bet. I do like Charles Johnson a lot in this one. I will take him to get it done via KO. The next fight on the card, Chidi Njokuani versus Yoel Alvarez. This is another one that I think could probably be on the main card. Not sure why we are keeping this off of the main card. This is a banger between two pretty fun fighters. One of the very few fights that I actually think probably deserves to be on this card as well. Chidi Njokuani. He comes into the UFC after a really big run in Bellator, then gets a W on the Dana White Contender Series. He's 5-5 in the UFC so far, coming off 2 straight losses. His style, frustratingly low output kickboxer with really heavy high kicks. He has so much power, but will often just not land enough or get out-grappled in a lot of his losses. If it's a low-output kickboxing match, I will favor Chidi Njokuani every single time. Like I said, he has so much power. The high kicks that he blasts, and just the kicks in general, are so powerful. The sound and the force at which they land is so heavy. He just doesn't throw him enough. And that's really what's led to him losing both of his last 2 fights. I thought it was a really close fight that he could have won against Carlos Leal in his most recent one. He doesn't get it done. But the output is definitely going to be the biggest issue with Chidi Njokuani. His opponent, Yoel Alvarez, he signed to the UFC, dangerous 15-1 lightweight prospect, loses his debut, but then proceeds to go 7-1. All of his wins come by finish. He moves up to 170 for some reason, and now he's 1-1. He lost his most recent fight to Yaroslav Almasov, where he kind of just got wrestle fucked and then submitted in the second round. His one win at middleweight was Vicente Luque, also going up, or welterweight was Vicente Luque, who we talked about earlier in this breakdown. His style, he has the chin to just kind of take one and give one, usually ends up landing the more damaging blows. Think of him kind of like welterweight Diego Lopez. However, I think the power dynamic change going from 155 to 170 is kind of messing with him a little bit. He has a very good jiu-jitsu base. It makes him very useful on the ground. He's not helpless at all. Yes, his fight against Almasov was bad, but Almasov is a world-class grappler, and he's going to do that to a lot of people. Don't let that fool you. Yoel Alvarez still has a pretty good grappling base and good jiu-jitsu. He also loves the jump knee. He'll throw that multiple times throughout the course of the fight. My prediction for this one, I'm going to take Yoel Alvarez to get it done via round 2 submission. But I don't really know. I'm very confident in Yoel Alvarez. Do not get this confused. It's just method-wise, I'm a little lost. I can see him implementing grappling if he wants. Chidi Njokuani is, like I said, a really good kickboxer. So if Yoel Alvarez is going to mix it up, I think it'll make sense. He's got good submission ability. He has tons of submission wins in his career. But his value at minus 325 is really, really good. I like that a lot, and I like the fight not to go the distance either at minus 270. But Chidi Njokuani, yes, I think he is a really good fighter, but he's one of those guys that you just always want to see more from and just never really end up seeing that. And I think Yoel Alvarez is really good. He's going to bounce back with a good win here and get back on track. So give me him to get it done via round 2 submission here. As we move on, I believe this right here, this is the main card. I mean, we're kicking it off big time. Get ready. Edson Barboza, at the ripe age of 96 years old. He's taking on Esteban Ribovics. Edson Barboza, he's a UFC legend that used to be a top lightweight contender about 6 years ago when he fought Khabib Nurmagomedov. He has been in the UFC for 16 years. He's coming off of a 3-fight losing streak, though, and his most recent fight was him getting finished in the first round by Jalen Turner. The style of Edson Barboza, he's one of the most dynamic strikers in UFC history. He has one of the best spinning attack, or some of the best spinning attacks and high kicks in the sport. Even still at 40, whatever he is, I think he's just 40 years old, but even at that age, he still has some of the best spinning attacks and high kicks. Athleticism is still there. He's just been looking incredibly washed lately at 40. The chin is not there really anymore. Speed has kind of deteriorated, but like the overall athleticism is still there. It's just he's not Edson Barboza that we saw 10 years ago as an athlete would naturally be. It's nothing against him. It's just, it's time. Time's undefeated, and Edson Barboza is just definitely not who he used to be. His opponent, Esteban Ribovics, he went 10-0 on the regionals. He gets a 90-second KO win on the Dana White Contender Series back in 2022, and then he loses his UFC debut. Has some really close wars with Daniel Zellhuber and Nasrat Haqparast. Ends up winning the one against Daniel Zellhuber, loses the one against Haqparast. And then he wins a fight in there, and then most recently loses to Gamrot via submission at UFC 327, which, no shame in that. Gamrot does that to a lot of people. His style, he's a scrappy, high-volume striker that I think has improved as his career's progressed big time. He is not the same fighter that he was when he fought Gamrot, but he's not the same fighter that he was when he fought Daniel Zellhuber and was getting in that really close war that hasn't aged very well. But I don't even think he's the same fighter that he was when he fought Gamrot. Like, this guy is still young and evolving. He just hit 30, I believe. So he's just kind of now entering the prime of his career. He is not coming to grapple by any means, but has submission ability and has 5 submission wins in his career. Like, it is there. He can use that if he wants. He's just usually not coming to grapple. He wants to stand and kind of bang it out. And like I said, a scrappy, high volume type fight. My prediction for this one, I will take Esteban Ribovics to get it done via round 2 KO. Ribovics will just have a chin durability advantage in this one that I think is going to help, especially with the super high-paced style that he likes to go for when he's just constantly moving forward, pushing the pace of the fight. bringing the fight to his opponent. Yes, you can never count out Edson Barboza. I think just with somebody who has that much experience and is still just so flashy, a Barboza KO at plus 1,000. Come on, you're telling me that ain't worth putting a couple bucks on? A little Edson Barboza KO at plus 1,000. Why not? But I do think Esteban Rubiks will get it done. Him KO/decision at minus 450. I think it's really good value that is able to kind of take that. I think he's minus 700 money line wise. Bring that down, KO decision to minus 450. I think is a really, really good bet. That's going to end up being down in our parlay legs here in a little bit. But yeah, I'm really confident in Esteban Rubiks in this one. Edson Barboza, like I said, I think he's just on his way out. I'm not sure if this is his retirement fight. Hopefully it is, especially if he gets finished. But I do believe Esteban Rubiks will get it done and get back on track with a win here. The next fight on the card, Mansour Abdulmalik and Dustin Stoltzfus, because he's German but represents America. But yes, Dustin Stoltzfus. Mansour Abdulmalik, he's an 8-1-1 now, technically fighter, because the win against Cody Brundage got overturned to a no contest with a 100% finishing rate in all of his wins. He got a round 2 KO win in the Contender Series back in 2024, not 3034 as I'm reading off of my screen right now. And he was rolling. He became one of the best prospects at 185 before losing it in his most recent fight against Yusri Belgaraoui. The style of Mansour Abdulmalik, he's a violent grappler that's always looking for the finish. He has decent speed on the feet as well, hand speed, that is. And the cardio and durability definitely proved to be an issue in his last fight. He had never seen a round 3 before going into his fight against Yusri Belgaraoui. I think it was 1-1 actually going into that round 3. And towards the end of the second round, he was just gassed. He couldn't keep up. Belgaraoui ended up picking him apart and finding a finish there in round 3 because Mansour just had nothing left. He was really tough and he was giving it all. He showed great heart, but just the cardio wasn't there. And so that's maybe something that he's learned from and gotten better at. But his opponent, Stoltzfus, he was the guy that beat Joe Pyfer on the Contender Series. I feel like I have to say this because I didn't remember him just off of his name. This is the only reason I remember him. He was the guy that beat Joe Pyfer on the Contender Series by breaking his arm on that slam that injured his arm. But since joining the UFC, he's done pretty much nothing but get finished and lose. He's 3-7 in the promotion. I don't know how he hasn't been cut yet, but maybe he will after today. The style of Stoltzfus, I won't sugarcoat it. He's a can. He's a striker with a bad chin, blast some decent body kicks, but will be at a pretty fair size disadvantage in this one. Nothing to really break down here. I'm going to take Mansour Abdulmalik to get it done via round 1 TKO. This seems like a pretty big layup for the UFC. Not sure why this is on the main card over like Yoel Alvarez and Chidi Njokuani, but it'll be a fun finish, I think. Regardless, Mansour Abdulmalik, before the Yusri Belgaraoui loss, was probably one of the best, if not the best, 185 prospect. Okay, definitely not the best, but one of the best. And he still is a really good prospect. This is a great way for him to get back on track. I think he'll find a round 1 TKO win. Mansour Abdulmalik in round 1 is plus 200. That's a great bet. That is a great bet. Mansour Abdulmalik does not waste time. I don't think he will in this one. So getting that at plus 200 is a great bet. And then Mansour Abdulmalik KO submission. Him to win by finish in the way that he's finished 100% of his fights, or won 100% of his fights at minus 150. I'll take that all day, every day. The next fight on the card, the feature bout. What are we doing? God, what? I mean, yeah, I get it, but I don't. Jalen Turner and Cowboy Fernandez as the feature bout on a numbered event. We only get 12 or 14 of these a year, and this is what we're throwing out. Apex slop is what this is. But anyways, I won't hate too much. It's just, this is really driving me nuts. Jalen Turner joined the UFC after a win on the Dana White Contender Series in 2018. He lost his UFC debut, put together a pretty good streak, become a solid ranked fighter. Then he went on a 1-5 skid and kind of retired from MMA. And then he came back late last year and beat Edson Barboza via round 1 KO. His style, lengthy, rangy striker with really good accuracy on the feet and submission ability on the ground as well. This guy's well-rounded. The limbs and reach and just everything about him is massive. I don't know how this guy makes 155. He is a genuine 6'2.5". Really. He is that big. The limbs are so long, too. I do not know how he makes 155, but this guy is massive. His opponent, Cauê Fernandes, he goes on a solid 8-1 run on the Brazilian regional scene. Joins the UFC and loses his debut in 2023, but since then he's been on a 3-fight win streak with 2 round 1 finishes, but he has been very untested up to this point in his career. His most recent fight was a win against Harry Hardwick at lightweight. Harry Hardwick is not a lightweight and isn't very good. And then he also has a win over Muhammad Yahya, I think, who is one of the worst fighters on the roster, if he's still even on the roster. So a largely untested fighter in Cauê Fernandes. His style, he's a striker that moves well on his feet, wants to hang around on the outside and kind of use his range and be rangy, but he's not very clean defensively. If you can go back to the Harry Hardwick fight, he got hit a lot in that fight before he calf kick KO'd him. But he was getting hit in that fight as well. That's just something that, kind of picked up on. My prediction for this one, I'm going to take Jalen Turner to get it done via decision. I'm really surprised that, I'm picking Jalen Turner to get it done via round 2 KO. I apologize. I just don't think stylistically it's going to make a lot of sense for Fernandes here. He's going to want to use his reach and kind of hang around on the outside like he does in most of his fights, and he's not going to be able to do that against Jalen Turner. I think Jalen Turner is going to make him feel very uncomfortable because Turner is going to be winning a lot of the outside foot positioning, and he's going to be the one that's able to use his length and his range to get it done. I think Jalen Turner just kind of finds one of those shots in round 2. Jalen Turner is also a more experienced guy. He's fought better competition. He's beat better competition. I think that matters. I think that matters a lot. And Fernandes is a good fighter, but it's a good win for him if he is able to get it done. I just don't think he's quite there yet. So give me Jalen Turner to find a big shot in round 2 and get it done via round 2 TKO. We move on to the co-main event. Finally, for the first time all night, we have a ranked fighter. Oh, right. This is a numbered event. You would have thought we were watching an Apex card until we got to this point, right? You would have thought you were just a week late on the Salkild Gamrot Apex card. No, don't worry. We're still doing the number card, you guys. Mackenzie Dern and Gillian Robertson. Finally. Here we go. Mackenzie Dern. She joins the UFC after just 5 pro MMA fights. She had some struggles throughout her career, but went on a really good streak towards the end of 2024. Ends up becoming a champion in October, where she beats Verna Jandiroba after Zhang Weili vacates the belt. She's looking for her first title defense in this one against Gillian Robertson. Her style, she's a world-class jiu-jitsu practitioner with very well-rounded ground game as well, or very well-rounded game on the feet as well. Not too gifted on the feet, but definitely not underdeveloped by any means. She is a world champion. She has what it takes in both aspects of her game, no matter what. But the jiu-jitsu is legitimately world-class, and the overall grappling skill, super high-level grappling IQ. The control is there. Yeah, you've probably seen a couple of videos of Mackenzie Dern and you know what she probably looks like, but genuinely her base and strength in her legs is impressive and helps her a lot in the grappling as well. Her opponent, Gillian Robertson, she loses on The Ultimate Fighter, but then joins the UFC right after in 2017. She's a bit of a win-loss fighter, but then hit her stride in 2024. Now she's challenging for the belt after an impressive 5-fight win streak. I believe 2 of those 5 fights come by finish. And I think she also has maybe not the most, but she's in the top 5 of most finishes in women's MMA for the UFC, I believe, or something like that. She's compiled tons of finishes throughout her career. Her style, really aggressive but creative fighter, thrives in chaos and muddy fights. She wants to bring the fight to her opponents using offensive grappling and really pressure her opponents forward to make them uncomfortable, where she then will implement creative grappling and try and control and look for finishes there. My prediction for this one, I'm going to take Mackenzie Dern to get it done via decision. Her at -205 makes a lot of sense. I just don't think Gillian Robertson is the one to beat Mackenzie Dern. I don't think Mackenzie Dern is some unbeatable champ. I don't. I think she's very beatable. I think Zhang Weili could come down and beat her. I think there's tons of girls that are currently in the division that could probably get her. That could probably beat her. I just don't think Gillian Robertson is one of them. The grappling advantage is going to be with Mackenzie Dern. The submission ability, the control, the power, the IQ, I think is all going to be with Mackenzie. And even on the feet, I think I'm probably going to favor Mackenzie as well. She's a lot more clean, a lot more crisp on the feet than Gillian Robertson is. We'll see. I think there's definitely a world where Gillian Robertson can put Mackenzie Dern in an uncomfortable situation and work her way to find a submission or a finish or something like that. Or maybe she steals. I don't think she steals 3 rounds. I think that's the biggest part of it. I think Mackenzie Dern is experienced enough, smart enough to get it done over the course of 5 rounds. Her money line at -205 is great. And then the fight to go over 3.5 rounds as well at -210. I think both of those are great bets. I'm rocking with the champ Mackenzie Dern to get her first decision, or to get her first title defense in this one. As we move on to the main event, finally. I mean, here we are. Dagestan versus Ireland part 2. And I'm telling you what, you guys, I'm like, if you saw my story that I posted 20 minutes ago, I'm really between these two. Look, I know, Islam's Islam, but I'm really between these. I'm stuck. I have my prediction that I made, and I'm rocking with it. I just don't feel all that great about it, but we'll see. We'll see. Islam Makhachev. Who is Islam Makhachev? He's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the entire world. He's one of 11 double champions in UFC history. He is the protege of Khabib Nurmagomedov, trains with him at Team Eagle in Dagestan, looking to defend his welterweight belt for the first time and break the record for most consecutive wins in UFC history. Currently, that record is 16, set by Anderson Silva. Islam is currently tied at 16 with him. If he wins today, he then breaks that record for the most consecutive wins in UFC history. His style, otherworldly grappling IQ and ability, absolutely nasty Darce choke. On the ground, he is worlds above everybody. Truthfully, like, it seems like no one can stop him. He has advanced game on the feet as well. He has been chinned before, but that's just kind of a cope. Like, that happened such a long time ago. It doesn't matter. Like, he's won 16 fights in a row since he got kind of chinned in round 1 in a fight that I think if the referee was more lenient, he probably could have recovered and came back in that fight. But he is the pound best fighter in the world for a reason. The grappling is there. The striking is there. This guy is truly legit, but he's a lightweight that moved up to welterweight. So yes, he is filled out, and yes, he's still heavy, and he looks like a welterweight. But just remember, he used to be a lightweight, and he's, it's not like this guy's a true welterweight. I think he kind of looks like one, but he's not true welterweight. His opponent, Ian Garry. He's a Cage Warriors champ before joining the UFC, running through almost everyone outside of Shavkat. He beat Prates. He beat my MVP. He beat Bilal Muhammad to secure the title shot back, I think, in the Abu Dhabi card or something, or the Qatar fight night. And he's just 28 years old. He really is one of the best prospects, if not, or best contenders, if not the best contender that the UFC has right now. And this guy loves his wife. Look, we're here to talk about the fight, you guys. I've been talking for a while. We're getting there. We're here to talk about the fight, though, you guys. Okay, we're not here to talk about anything else. But if you guys want to know, you should probably look it up, because this guy's relationship with just in general is nutty. So I do suggest you look that up. I won't talk about it right now. I'll let you guys do that on your own. The style of Ian Garry. He's not some brutal finisher, but he is just so talented and so cerebral that he just does everything he needs to do in order to beat his opponent every single time, except for Shavkat. He lost that fight. But outside of that, every single fight, he's able to do just enough of whatever he needs to do to win that fight. He will be by far the biggest opponent Islam has faced. I don't mean that in like a non-literal sense. Like, that is, he is literally size-wise, stature-wise, physically the biggest opponent that Islam has faced. I believe Ian Garry is listed at 6'3". I think he's probably like 6'2.5", 6'2". And Islam is not. Islam is under 6 feet tall. So Ian Garry will have the size advantage in this one. My prediction. Let me clear it out before we get it going. Who did I pick? I went ahead and picked Islam Makhachev. I think Islam's going to get it done via decision, but I'm really back and forth. I think an Ian Garry money line at plus 275 is incredible value, because to me, this is a 50-50 fight. I really do think it's a 50-50 fight. Ian Garry is so good. I don't have anything against Ian Garry. Yeah, I know he's not the biggest fan favorite, but like he is so good. And I don't even really have anything against Islam as well. Even though despite the boring performances that he's had in the past, I don't really have anything against him. I just kind of appreciate how great of a fighter he is. So all bias aside, this is a super 50-50 fight. And so for the underdog to be at plus 275, like that is great value to me. And that's something that you should definitely putting. If you think Ian Garry's got a shot and you do think like me that it's more 50-50 than people think, it's a good bet. But I think I think Islam will get it done via decision. I think he'll probably prove everyone again. I think people I'm not trying to hit you with people forget, man, but I think it is kind of easy for people to slip into Ian can do this, Ian can do this, Ian can do this. Yes, he can, but it's a whole different story when Islam is in there and we just kind of discredit what Islam can do and has done to everyone that he has faced, and that is dominate them with grappling. And even on the feet, Islam is going to pose problems for Ian Garry. So I will take Islam Makhachev, get it done via decision. As we head into our betting breakdown, high value straight wise, we just talked about Ian Garry money line, but I think Mansour Abdulmalik to get it done in round 1 at plus 200, Makhachev decision at plus 525, to buy a sub at plus 650, and a Neil Magny decision at plus 350 are all great bets. There's some more in there. If you guys want to go back through and watch, fight by fight individually, those are just the ones that I found best. Parlay legs, we only got 4. Kind of hard to find the parlay legs in this one. Not a whole lot of people that I really trust. Like, do I want to put Charles Johnson money line in there? Yes, but I don't really trust him enough to put him in the parlay legs. So I've decided on these: Oral by sub decision, Yoel Alvarez money line, Mansour Abdulmalik KO submission, and Esteban Rubivic KO decision at minus 450. I'm pretty sure those 4 combined together can get you a pretty good, probably plus 300 or 400 odds. I didn't put them all together before we started, but I think that's a great parlay leg, just all 4 of them. Just take out what you want, add what you want, but those 4 should be pretty solid to be and reliable to go back on to create some good parlays. And we will go ahead and show the best or the total picks recap because I haven't showed you in a while. We're 182-1. Main events were 16-8 so far. Fight night events were 159-52, or 129-52, and then numbered events were 53-26. There you have it. Well, thank you guys for sticking with me. I know, again, I apologize. Towards the end, I don't have any water, and I'm trying to chug through this. It's currently 1:30 in the morning. I'm going to edit this, try and get it up before about 8 o'clock. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will maybe get a recap out. Who knows anymore? I've been saying this every time, and I haven't done a recap in about 4 weeks. But I will hopefully get a recap out. This should be a decent card. I'm not super thrilled about how it came together, and it's just unfortunate, some aspects with the fall throughs and things like that. But regardless, we're going to have fun watching it. We're going to have some fun betting on it. And hopefully we come out with some wins. I've got a decent, I feel pretty good going into this one. And the main event is going to be super fun. So thank you guys again so much for watching. And I will see you when I see you. See ya.